All right, let's talk about Upgrade. Holy shit. So I was supposed to see this in theaters, but it's one of those movies that just got by me because it didn't get in my town as usual. And I was busy doing all this shit and I couldn't get to the theater. Blah, blah, blah. Long story. Just couldn't do it. I was pissed because this was Lee Winnell. I'm a big Lee Winnell fan. And a bunch of friends of mine were like, oh man, it's great. You'll love it. And I was like, oh, of course I will. So I watched it, and oh my God, did I love it. Holy shit. Now, something I've decided that I'm probably never going to do again is spoiler-free reviews. I think that the best I'm going to do is like what I'm going to do here. I'm going to talk about my spoiler-free part of it here, just to kind of give my overall thoughts. But I really hate doing spoiler-free reviews. They're so boring. I don't like it. I like to talk about the movie. So I'll give my initial thoughts, and then I will fair warning of when the spoilers are coming. But I want to talk about this movie. But absolutely, man. Holy shit. This is a really cool, unique sci-fi film with some great action, some awesome gore. Oh, hell yeah. Somebody told me that all the gore is in the Red Band trailer. I didn't watch that. I barely watched anything on this. I watched very, very little. As soon as I saw it was Lee Winnell and I saw it was like an action sci-fi horror thing, I was like, I'm sold. You don't got to tell me what it's about. I'm stoked. Let's do this. And so I pretty much avoided everything, and I'm glad I did, because if that's the truth, I was shocked at some of the gore. There's some fucking awesome gnarly gore. The fight scenes are really cool. The way the fight scenes are filmed, like the stylization of the fight sequences is really cool. They move very robotically, like the guy. Brief synopsis in case you don't know what the hell this is about, although the synopsis kind of has spoilers in it. So if you want to avoid absolutely everything, I would just go check it out if you're into those kinds of movies, action, sci-fi kind of stuff. But if you want some kind of anything, if you don't know what this is, it is set in a near future of sorts. And there's this couple, and they get attacked. His wife is murdered, and he is paralyzed. There is a mega genius who runs this big tech company that he has done a job for, and the guy gives him the opportunity to be basically a guinea pig to get something called STEM, which will connect to his spinal column and make him able to walk again and whatnot. So he accepts it because, you know, he wants to. Obviously, who the hell wouldn't want to walk again? I'm not going to say anything else on that matter because, yeah, as I said, ruins kind of parts of the film. But he obviously can walk again, and this thing is a little more than maybe he bargained for. It is like a computer living inside of him. It has the ability to take over his body if it wants, and it makes him this badass. He's got an upgrade. So absolutely check this out. It stars this dude who you know, when you watch Prometheus back when it came out, I was like, is that Tom Hardy? Is that Tom Hardy? So lately I've just been calling him Tom Hardly. he's hardly Tom Hardy, but he definitely looks a fuckload like him. But I dig the guy. He's good in this, and it's absolute must watch. So check it out. Another thing I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to open up a gift from one of my subscribers, Teddy Brown. He sent me this. He told me it was a book. So that is all I know, but I'm going to open it up here real quick. I didn't want to make a whole video for this, but I told Teddy it would be on the upgrade video, so I'm going to just sneak this in the middle real quick. All right, we have Monster Hunter International. I know nothing about this in the slightest. Troubled by vampires or werewolves, MHI will solve your problems through superior firepower. Okay. So it's like a Monster Hunter squad, huh? Monster Hunter. That's cool. Kind of like a Doom cover in a way. So these guys just go in and hunt vampires and werewolves. How cool. Is this like a series by chance? A bunch of them? Or I don't know. It doesn't have like a label on it, but I haven't read a book like this in so long. I just don't have the fucking time, man. I wish I did, because I love stuff like this. maybe I'll try to make time for this. But regardless, I appreciate it. Thank you, Teddy. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So I'm guessing this is like a favorite of yours. I will look into it. I promise. I just don't know how fast I will get to reading it. Anyways, so let's get to the movie. Thank you. So spoilers, guys. Spoilers from here on out. Lots of things to talk about here. Lots of things to talk about. So this guy's working on his old car here. We don't know what time period this is set in, because as I said, I kind of just ignored trailers and whatnot. But then we go outside and his wife is in this driverless car, which is a future that we're working towards for sure. I know that Elon Musk is trying to make that a reality. And if we do go like this, cars will basically just be like taxi services. You go and you grab one, you get in, you drive around. In this movie, though, we have driverless cars and drivered cars. I mean, I would want to get to a place. I know a lot of people would be object to this future and whatnot. I am open to all sorts of shit in the future that I know that most people would be so clinged on to because of their, their desire, the way that they were raised, the way that they've grown up, the way the things that they're just attached to. But yeah, driverless cars. That's a future. We have the Google cars right now that can do it, that are doing it. But I do think that we are heading towards all driverless cars. That would be ideal, in my opinion, but we'll disagree on that. That's fine. And so they get in the car, they have to go to this thing, and they meet this tech guy who he made a car for, and then they leave, and they get, they're driving back, and the car is going out of control. And so instead of like trying to save himself, he goes and he like straps his girlfriend in for his wife. Yeah, his wife in first. So you can just tell that he loves her, and he's just like smashing around in the car, which is a great shot, by the way. And then they come out, and there's these drones, and this is cool because this is another thing that I absolutely believe will probably happen in the future, pretty soon. Actually, not like next year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see they have drones that are just circling at all times, going around and videoing everything. So you can't get away with shit. This is an aerial shot. This is like streets cameras, basically. But they're just like everywhere, and they're flying this way, they're flying that way, and you can go back. Like the cop does that in this movie, the detective. She goes back, she looks at the footage, and she rewinds back, and she looks at different appropriate times and places, and she can see what person was outside where. You can't get away with fucking nothing in this future. I know a lot of people would see that as an invasion of privacy, and how many areas could they do it, but they would do it in the open city. And I will not be surprised if this happens sooner than you would think. The fact that this car is driverless, you do have to worry about like technology hackers and technology hacker terrorists, should I say, being able to hack someone's car and then drive it into oncoming traffic or something like that, because these cars would have like sensors on it so that they couldn't get in car crashes, which is what a lot of these cars nowadays have. When you take humans out of the equation, a lot less mistakes end up happening. So, but yeah, it's just scary to think that you'd be in a car and anything malfunctions, or if anything, like you're just in this car, you're not touching the wheel, you're not doing anything. Although I do like when he tries to touch the wheel, it's like, don't try to touch the wheel. It's like, why isn't that thing locked? Like you shouldn't even be able to move it around. What if you're in there, you're doing something, and then you hit and it just drives you into oncoming traffic? Like, I don't think that thing should be able to move at all while on drive unless they press like disengage or something. So yeah, he gets shot through the back of the neck, which is just fucking mean-spirited. But then we find out, obviously, that was planned in advance, and his wife was not the target. And the mom has to come and take care of her, and he has to just sit there and watch his wife die right there in front of him. Like, he's just laying there, he can't move, and his wife's just bleeding out in front of him is such a horrible scene to watch, but good incentive. We got some RoboCop shit going on here. And so yeah, his mom has to take care of him. He's like bathing him, and he just starts crying because he's just like, I don't want to fucking deal with this. And Betty Gabriel from Get Out is the detective in this, and he wants to off himself. He tries to kill himself because he just does not want to do with this. And the guy brings him in, and he tells him, like, we'll give you this operation. And he says, like, I don't want it. I'm trying to check out. I don't want to start my life over. And the guy's like, what would your wife want you to do? So he does the surgery, and man, as I said, there's a lot of cool gore in this. But one of the cool things is when we see the surgery, it opens it up. They're like mucking around in there. You can see his bones, and it's so realistic. It's so fucking awesome. Super, super realistic, and I love it. And then right after it, they think like, oh, it's going to be this long recovery time. They have no idea how long it's going to be. And immediately, he can just move. I really like the actor who plays Aaron, the tech guy in this. I think he does a really good job of being that nerdy, kind of odd and just it's like just super like hermit genius, like really into his products and what he does. And I just thought he played that role very well. He has to sign a confidentiality agreement that he won't tell. And then we finally hear Stem's voice in his head, which he did not know he was getting himself into. Which all these questions that I kind of had throughout the movie were answered by the amazing twist ending that I did not see coming at all. And fuck, I loved every damn thing about it. And so this thing can take control of his whole body anytime it wants. I like when it like takes control of his hand, and it's just like writing out that it's drawing this thing really, really quick. Oh, that was great, man. I knew I was in for a treat right around that time. I was like, oh man, this movie's gonna be fucking awesome. I can just tell. And that first fight sequence as well. Oh my god. He's like, I can help you out if you want. And he's just like, go for it. And he's just like, boom, boom, boom. As I said, the moves of the camera are so robotic, matching the robotic nature of his body. Like he's just this perfect killing machine. He's like, you didn't know I was a ninja. That's what he says. I think he says that to the other guy. And he's like, don't get too overconfident. I love that. The banter between them, there's some really good comedy that really lands there. It's real dry and it's subtle, but I laughed a good amount. And yeah, when he grabs his mouth and he puts it here and he just snaps it back and the whole bit of his head just rips backwards with the knife. That gore was amazing. Amazing. Action movies, man. See, do you know how badass this movie would have been? It is. I don't think it would be any better. But The Rock. This is the kind of movie The Rock should be in right here. This is what I want to see out of The Rock. This should have been The Rock. I'm glad it wasn't. It's fine. This guy was great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying put him in this. I'm just saying this is the kind of movie I need The Rock to start making. I want to see him be some badass movies, some R-rated, fucking ripping people's heads back, awesome shit. Anyway, I do love that this is another thing that happens in movies all the time that annoys the shit out of me. Stem asks him, he's like, we need to clean up all your fingerprints. And he's like, how the hell am I supposed to figure out where all my fingerprints is? And he's like, I have a accurate record of everything you touched. But he's also like, you need to clean the vomit out of the sink. Oh my God, thank you so much, Lee Winnell, for writing this. You have no idea. Every fucking movie I watch where kids or somebody kills someone they didn't mean to, or they've never seen a kill before, or whatever, they always like go in the sink, or they go in the backyard, or they go into the fucking living room, or they went and they vomit. Do you know how much DNA of yours is in your vomit? Thank God that was addressed. Thank you. That stuff drives me absolutely fucking insane. Anyways, And so he goes out, and then freaking Aaron Track comes to him, and he's like, "You didn't think I tracked you? You have like the most, you have my whole life in your head, basically. Like you have the most sophisticated piece of technology ever in your head that's worth more than you can imagine. And it's a prototype, and I'm not allowed to be experimenting on people like you, blah, blah, blah." But I think that was just Aaron's way of trying to not give in to what STEM wants, and why he's trying to shut him down and everything. You would think STEM would have taken him to this hacker much sooner, though, if that was the case. So there's a couple little things that are questionable. There's no doubt about it, but I'm willing to look through all of them. I like when those guys are taking him into the back, and he's like, "All right, for a minute, I'm going to lock all your pain receptors." How nice would that be? Stub your toe and then be like, "STEM, turn that off." Like, it's not in any danger, but it's just going to be agonizing pain for the next like 10, 15 minutes. And I don't need it. I don't need it. There's no point. I won't do that again. I'm not doing it on purpose. When you hurt yourself that, like with something like that, I always want to tell my body, okay, I get it. I'm sorry I injured you, but could you stop fucking hurting so bad now? I get it. The penalty. And that's just it. Your body's trying to remind you, like, don't do this shit again, man. But oh my God, when you stub your toe or any of that stuff, it is agonizing. So being able to do that would be amazing. And then STEM goes and he cuts his fucking face all up. He's like, and this guy is just a bloody mess, like hamburger meat. And he's like, he will answer any question you ask him now. He's just kind of reminds me of 000 from Star Wars comics, the new ones from Dr. Aphra. I know no one I know reads those, so I'm completely talking to myself here. But robot that gets off on killing people and maiming them and torturing them. And so his body's only operating at 70%, and less. He's like running down the street, and he's like only got one arm and then one leg, and he's like crawling himself around. And this hacker who's like non-binary sexual thing. But I'm glad that's kind of addressed, because that's like, you know, that's becoming the future. Like, I have no sex. Don't even ask me about my sex. Wasn't fucking going to. I don't give a shit. And she's never seen, or she, sorry. Ooh, they, I don't know, have never seen paper money before, and they're like, really does say God on it. I thought that was interesting. Like, no one, it's a girl, okay? The fucking actress who's playing this is a girl, so in my head it's like it's a chick. I don't know what else to say. Then she figures it out and locks it up and is like, peace, I'm out. It'll reboot. Hope you get out in time. This movie kind of reminded me of Hardcore Henry a little bit, which is another absolute fave of mine. One of my favorite movies of the last X amount of years now. I fucking adore that movie. So if you're a big Hardcore Henry, or if you're a big fan of this, you should check out Hardcore Henry. It's shot like in first person, but fuck, it's awesome. I don't know. I think I like Hardcore Henry a little better. I don't know. That's a tough one. I love that movie. I'd have to watch it again. So then there's this, who we think is like the main bad guy, and he kills the bartender with a sneeze. Now, I have to admit, that was a little ridiculous to me when it happened, but at the same time, we're living in a world with like nanobite technology. Stuff that is so microscopic, a thing that's this big, that's like a supercomputer that can do anything. So, I mean, the fact that they're so small, they can barely be seen by the naked eye, they can fly around and like drill someone's head out from the inside. I just can't imagine how much damage they can do inside soft tissue like that, being microscopic, like to the point where you can't see them at all. I don't know how much damage that could possibly do, but I don't know. So I don't know. That one's a little silly. The organic gun in those guys' arms, and they just like they can load it. They were shooting a lot of bullets out of that gun. But anyway. So, oh man, it's fucking awesome. The scene where he gets up on the rooftop with the guy, he has a gun in his hand, and Stem's like, don't worry, I'll end this quickly. And he just grabs the guy's arm, breaks it back, puts it to his head, shoots it, and his whole head explodes. Maniac style. Fucking amazing headshot. freaking scanners, fucking all the great head explosions in films. This is one of that's up there, man. It's fantastic. Deadly Friend. What's your favorite head explosion in a film? And don't say some jokey porn like, oh, here's my favorite head explosion. I mean, you can link me to it actually, because I'm into that too. So he comes home, the mom sees him, he's walking around, he's like, oh shit. The detective comes in and bugs him. So Stem takes over and he's driving the car, and then he lets him have control back of the car because he's like, I can't do anything. Like, this is analog, this is not digital. Like, I'm useless in this capacity. Which Stem then takes control of a driverless car, brings it back and crashes into her, which probably would have killed her, but whatever. But I do like that guy's a driver and he's into cars, and so he gives it back to him like, all right, well, this is your skill. I've been skilled in everything else, but you take this. And he takes it. I've also noticed that the actor in this really walked robotically once he had Stem in him. His back is very straight and he's kind of walking very robotic. I don't know if that's like Stem making him do that or whatever. And then, so then Gray, the main character, he gets into a fight with the main dude. And they have this big long battle, and he can't beat him. He's countering every single one of my moves, and he has him on the ground. And Stem yet again is like, I need your help. Like, I don't know what to do here. It's you or nothing. And so his plan, which Stem can't come up with because he deduces reason and logic, and he doesn't understand human emotion, and he doesn't understand humans that well. So the guy does the last ditch effort and he talks shit to him, which breaks the guy's concentration and enrages him. And that's when Stem takes over and pops his head back onto this piece of glass. I wish it would have been a little more violent. I wish it had looked kind of like, Jason falling on his machete in Friday the 13th Part 4 or something, and kind of his head slink and then like it kind of slowly come out of the front of his face. That would have been fucking awesome. But unfortunately they didn't do that, which is kind of a shame, but that's all right. I forgive it because there's so many other cool things here. And then Gray tries so desperately once he goes to confront, because I thought, you're thinking the whole movie, and I was like, absolutely like, oh, come on, like, let's get to it. Aaron set him up. He wanted to do this. So I had that in my head the whole time. I wasn't even thinking of anything else. And then when he was like, it's Aaron, I was like, duh. So he goes to him, and the cop shows up and whatever, and he doesn't want to kill her. And this is when the big reveal happens, the huge twist ending, that Stem himself had already become aware and forced Aaron to do this. And that Stem wanted to be human, so he had him tracked down, killed his wife, and put this in the back of his neck. And then he had to eliminate all these other guys, and the only way that he could take over his mind is if he let it snap completely. So that and earlier in the movie, he sees people who like kind of live in virtual reality, like we see in Inception and other movies like Ready Player One or something. But it felt like more like the one we see in Inception. But yeah, so he says like he'd rather be dead than live in a virtual reality. He doesn't understand why people would want to live in a fake reality. And the irony, of course, is at the end, he ends up living in a fake reality with his wife, and you can tell he's fucking happy. So he gets a happy ending, and that's what's so fucking great about this, is the twist I personally didn't see coming. And it's a really grim ending because he kills the detective right there in cold blood. Stem wins, and he kills he kills the tech guy, Aaron, he kills the chick, he kills everybody, gets everyone out of his way, he kills all the upgrades with Gray, he gets everything he wants, but it's a win-win in a way. This guy gets to be back with his wife. He keeps him in there at bay, giving him this fantasy world, this virtual reality that he has to keep him in at all times. Now, there could be a sequel where he comes back. I wouldn't want one, honestly. I don't know, it's a very interesting ending. One that you would never expect. You never get this shit in American cinema. You never get this shit in big budget action movies. The hero always wins. He would have been able to been like, no, I have friends and that gives me power and I love my wife. Because like normal Hollywood bullshit, he would have been like, pushed her away and been like, no, this isn't real. I need to go back. And she'd be like, stay with me. And he'd be like, no, it's not right. I can't. And he'd push himself out and he'd save the day and he'd save the detective. And Sten would be like, well, you don't know what you're doing. You're going to kill both of us if you take that out. Like, that's the typical Hollywood bullshit ending. But this one is so much more thought-provoking. It's so much more, you know, surprising, and I love it. I love this ending. A happy and sad, grim ending, all in one. Awesome stuff, Lee. Awesome stuff. You are very good at twist endings. I'll give you that. Saw 1, 2, and 3. Dead Silence. Dead Silence's twist ending is fucking awesome, man. If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. The Insidious franchise. He's such a great writer. So good job, man. Because I'm a huge fan of his Insidious 3. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but it's still my favorite of the 4, and I really like all 4. So call me crazy for that. I think I got everything. I've rambled long enough, so I need to move on to my next movie. So, all right, guys. Thank you again, Teddy, for the book. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to check out my Patreon or anything, of course, the links are down below. I hate, promoting myself, but I'll do it real quick. There you go. That's as much as I got. All right, guys.